Hello guys, welcome back to the channel. So here's a clue into what you're going to be seeing today in this review, and that's the artwork for that figure there. Now I'm going to come on to the writing section, and if you can see there it says, to release Thanos' grip on the universe, Tony Stark fights alongside his fellow Avengers in this high-powered mark. And I don't know what that means in Roman numerals, but this is the last appearance of Iron Man in Endgame, in which Tony Stark dies by wrestling the gauntlet with the Infinity Stones from Thanos in order to change time and past events. So we'll come down to the bottom section, which is what you're going to see, and there is Hulkbuster and the Iron Man figure I picked up today. I'm going to come back a little bit just to show you what that looks like. So let's come to Iron Man, and that's a nice figure. Now, a couple of reviews ago, I mentioned I was going to pick up Kingpin, the Gamerverse one, but somebody had bought it. So I'd seen this figure in my toy outlet on sale, because they're normally about £30, and this is the movie version of Iron Man. As you know, I'm a comic book guy, and you've seen those on my channel, but I thought, when I was going to pick it up, they went very quickly. But today I went into my outlet and there was one left, and I thought, being I can't get Kingpin, I'll get him. And today he was retailing at $14.99. So I thought, you know what, why not? Now, I've got my comic book version of the Avengers, but the only reason I'd go after the other Avengers if they were that price at $14.99. So down there you'll see is energy pulse hands, I call them, and there are the energy effects, and that's the first time I'm getting an Iron Man figure with 4. And why that is that you can actually attach those energy effects on his feet. So if you get a flight stand, you can create Iron Man in a pose on a flight stand. Now my comic book ones have got those holes, but I've never actually displayed them that way. So you will see in this review probably just one pose of him on a flight stand. Now I've got back Hulkbuster, and as you know, you've seen him on the channel, and thank you for your views. You had quite a lot on him. But I presented him first in his head sculpt, and that looks all right there. But the reason I got him back was, one, these two look okay together, and for the most part it's that pose. Because when I was looking on the internet, on YouTube, and they were reviewing the figure, I wanted to buy him mainly because he was very articulate and you could really pose him out. But this pose was a pose I tried to accomplish before and had difficulty doing it, so I had to keep watching it until I finally got it. So when we carry on from here, you will see him in the helmet, and then I'll start posing out Iron Man just to show you what that looks like. So let's get on with the posing. So there's the first one. I've got Hulkbuster with the helmet on now, and that's how I saw him on the internet when I first saw this figure, and I'm pleased now that I can get him into this pose. So I'm not going to change out his pose because it's all about Iron Man. So let's come to Iron Man first. I've combined his blast effect hand with his fighting fist. Let's take the camera around, and that looks good. This is a nice looking figure actually. I've seen versions of the movie Iron Man and I do like them, but as I say, I'm a comic book man and that's what I wanted to go for. But at $14.99, I'm glad I got this guy. But I wanted a War Machine, but I didn't like the quality of it. I'd much rather them Marvel Legends produce a Iron Patriot, and maybe they have, but I haven't clocked it. So let's put the other blast effects on. So I'll just pause it. So I've put the blast effects on now. Not a particularly brilliant pose, but I just wanted to get those blast effects on. So I'm not going to waste too much time on this pose. I shall take it to the next level, as you know I will. So here's your next one. I've opened up the arm position. Kind of like that dynamic. Not sure if he's actually done it in the films, but I thought, let's try it out. Not too bad. Okay, let's get another one in. Right then, let's move it on. So this is your next one. And what I've done is I've angled his body sideways on. But what I've done more importantly is, because it's very articulate, this figure, you can actually manipulate those wrists to point the blasters downwards. And I like the idea of that dynamic. I'm going to try a similar thing, but bring the arms closer together just to show you what I mean. But there's a close-up on Iron Man there. Very nice figure. I'm trying to figure out where I'm going to put him after all this, because I've got Iron Man in pretty much every section of my rooms in my home. But what I'll do, I think I'll put him next to my Tom Holland Spider-Man, because they're from the same world, and have him on a flight stand. So let's try another one. Let's center that camera for your next pose. So this is a little bit different. I brought in that kind of rock prop, and I've used that before in the past, but I wanted to demonstrate the pose more, and that's him sort of firing down at that rock to blast it apart. Let's come in close and get some angle shots. Doesn't look too bad from there. Let's come back a bit and let's get around the front and come in close. But I think when I come back further, it tends to show off that dynamic a lot better. Let's try and improve on that. Okay, just tweaked it a little bit, so I'm not going to spend any more time on this, but I've kind of bent him at the waist a little bit more. That seemed to be better. Okay. And I was thinking of actually changing out the dynamic of Hulkbuster, but he's already had his time on camera. He's just a compliment to this review. So let's go on to another one. So at the moment, when I get a figure, I normally spend some time with him and get a catalogue of poses in my head. And this is still a fresh one for me. So I'm just trying weird stuff. There's no rhyme or reason to this pose actually. I can't remember seeing him in this dynamic in any scenario, but it's hit and miss, as I'll call it. And at some point, when I get to know this figure well and its balance, I will come back to it with possibly some more Avengers from the movies. But it's just more like a dummy run review, which is why I'm not going to go on with this for much longer. I'll try a couple of more and then you'll probably see him on the flight stand. I'll try and take out that hand there just to see what that looks like. Okay, let's have a go. Yeah, that seems better. I think I might keep him in this mode where I've got one blast effect on and one fighting fist until I get to know this figure better. So these are basically, I call them low end poses, but it's still fresh to me, this figure. But I like him. He's got good tight joints. You just got to find the balance of him, because if you don't get it right, he can topple over. But let's try something else, keeping in that fist. So this one is, I think, the best one so far. I've twisted his body at the waist. He's square on. I'll pull that arm right back and up higher. And I quite like that. That's getting more Ironman-y, as I call it. Yeah, more Ironman-y. I don't know if anatomically you can actually do this, because that is a severe twist in the waist. But on camera, I do like it. Alright, let's keep with that theme and see what we can come up with. Yeah, I don't mind this one. I think what's helped it a little bit, I've brought him closer to Hulkbuster. After all, Hulkbuster is Tony Stark's invention, but it's a nice effect when you see it like that. And looking close at this Iron Man, he's slightly darker on the gold, more movie-like, and the detail of him is not too bad. So I'm going to tweak it a little bit, because I want to end it on 15 minutes, we're on 12. So let's try a couple of more. Okay, you know me, my one knee pose, but I've stretched out the leg a bit. I did try it on the one knee pose, he does look good, but we see it a lot with me, so I just lengthened out that leg just to see what that looked like. And I'm going to keep that pose and put back the blast effect and see what that looks like. Yeah, it's starting to get there now. I'm starting to understand this figure. But the arm is a bit high for me, so I'm going to drop it lower just to see if I can improve on that. Yeah, that's a little bit better. I think I over exaggerated that arm, so I've dropped it lower. And while I'm posing figures, I always try and look at anatomical correctness, because it may look good to you when you first do it, and then you say, you could never get his arm in that position in real life, or his leg. So I try and get a bit of believability in there, alongside some movement and dynamic. But it seems better this way. It's coming close. That's all right. Okay, right, let's try one more, then I'll try him on the flight stand. Right then, all I've done is I've turned his head the other way, and that leg that was lengthened out in front of the figure is now behind him. And I think I like this one better, actually. It's better all round in terms of the overall look. Yeah. And I bet when I finish this review, I'll start thinking up a load of poses, and you'll see me in a couple of days have this guy back on camera. But if I do come up with a load of new poses, I'll hold off and give you guys a break from it. And then I'll come back to him and say, well, this was today, but the one I'm doing now is better. So let's get him on the flight stand and see what that looks like, because he did come with some extra energy effects. and then we'll wind it down from there. So he's on the flight stand, and one thing I do know is that I'm going to have to sit down and do some nicer flight stand poses than this, but we need to see him in that mode, so we're going to come in close. So I've stood up Hulkbuster because it's coming down to the end of this thing, so I just wanted to show some proportional shots of him standing up and Ironman in flight mode. I'm not a big fan of its pose, but I just need to work on the poses on the flight stands, and we'll come down to those energy effects, which is why we're doing all this. So it's not too bad. I've left the fighting fists in, but what I'll do is I'll try one more pose with the fighting fists, then I'll put on the other hands. Okay, right, this is a lot better for me personally than the first one you saw. So we'll come close in on that. It's like a sideways on, and I've closed out the arm position, and of course you can still see better those energy effects on his feet. So I'm not going to change the shape of this pose actually. I will turn it in another direction just to show you what that looks like, but the pose will remain the same. So I've just virtually squared him on. That's not too bad. Looking at that, it's really weird. When I put him on the flight stand, I started to do all this stuff with the camera subconsciously. So if you clocked it, I apologise. Right, I'm going to put the blast effects on the hands and do exactly the same as you've just seen him now. So there'll be no different poses, just an angle change. So we've got one more pose to go. So I put everything on there that I want to see before I end the review, which includes the box it came with, sideways on, and I like the artwork. So let's get straight to Ironman, and he's in a what I call an off balance pose, because he's not flying sort of level, he's at an angle, and it's not bad, that look. Coming back, you'll see all the energy effects now on the feet and on the hands. And with Hulkbuster there, I'm just changing round to the other side. His pose hasn't changed. I just rotated his head on the other side, and we're coming close on that artwork. Nice artwork that. I keep all my boxes, as you know. I love the artwork. I'm thinking of an idea of finding one of my walls, possibly in my kitchen, and creating a little mural of DC artwork and Marvel. So let's try one more. We're approaching the 20-minute mark, so we should be finished by then. So, put Ironman on the other side of the platform. I've actually tried to create some movement there with Hulkbuster. An average one for me. Let's get back to Ironman. This is what the review's about. And on this side it seems to come across a lot better, and I do like that. Let's get a close up. Fair enough. Right, okay, this is going to be the last one then, guys. Thanks for staying with me. I know I can do all this a lot better because I only got him today and I was eager to get him on camera. Maybe that was my mistake, but I'll try and give it my best on my last one, and then we'll leave it there. So guys, this is the very last one with 20 seconds to go to take us up to 20 minutes. Let's get straight to Ironman. I think being part of the problem for me has been the flight stand with this figure. I had it round the waist, but I decided to do that, which is better, I think. So I'm going to keep him in this mode for the last part. We're just over 20 minutes, but I need to get some close-ups before we call it a day. And I'm glad I've got him now. Maybe it wasn't meant to be me buying Kingpin. Maybe that's sometime down the road. But I do like him, and he does pose well. And it could tempt me to pick up the other Avengers. The 4 initially, just movie Hulk, Black Widow, Captain America and Hawkeye. They're out there. Whether they're as cheap as this Ironman at $14.99, reduced down from 30 quid, I don't know really. But I'm very pleased with him, and I will display him on a flight stand. And as I said, I would probably display him with my Tom Holland Spider-Man. And actually, I might as well get them together on camera just to see what that looks like, because that's probably what's going to happen. So I'll take him off the flight stand and have him with Spider-Man. I promise it is the last one after this. So guys, these are the final poses. And it's Spider-Man Tom Holland and Robert Downey Jr. Iron Man. And I quite like the look of that. I've never posed my comic book Iron Man with my movie Spider-Man, so, or maybe I haven't, I've just forgotten, but I do like that, the two of them. And I'm seriously thinking about picking up the movie Avengers. But once you start with one, you can't stop. So because it's the last pose, I'll get some close-up angles. And there it is. Looking forward to the last Spider-Man installment. Hopefully it won't be the last installment, but that's what I'm hearing. Nice figure that. But let's get to the guy in question, Mr. Tony Stark. I also wouldn't mind picking up a movie version of the Iron Patriot. I think these two figures, the Iron Patriot and this Iron Man, would work well together. This pose for me, I think it could be better, but I haven't got time to do this anymore. I've got to get things done today. But I will come back to posing him off camera, and if I come up with anything majorly different, I will shoot that for you guys. Okay, so on that note, I'll take it to there and say thanks for watching the channel, and I'll see you again next time.